Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this episode I'll be teaching you how to make this 2-tier Christmas box cake. I've used a 6-inch mud cake for this. I've used 2 cakes, scoring the outside so I can guide my knife through the cake nice and evenly. And I'll do the same for the middle. And you can see as I'm cutting here, I'm rotating my turntable and sawing the knife at the same time. Then I'm attaching my 6-inch cake board onto a 10-inch cake board with a little bit of buttercream. It'll make buttering kind of frosting our cake a lot easier. And then kind of move around the buttercream with your spatula, make sure your second layer of cake is nice and centered, and press it on. I personally find it's a lot easier to fill a cake with a piping bag instead of the spatula. I feel like the spatula moves the cake around a little too much. You can choose whichever way you find easier. Then pop that into the freezer, but before we do that we have to get rid of all that buttercream that's sticking out, so just press it up against the cake with your spatula and let that rest for at least 15 minutes in the freezer. Then I'm taking some sugar syrup and I've got my fake 9-inch polystyrene cake dummy here. And I'm moistening all the sides, top, and especially the edges. I've taken some white fondant and I'm rolling it out to about a 1/4 inch in thickness and using a little pin to pop all those little air bubbles and pushing that air out. And drape it over your cake. Make sure to quickly secure the top and especially the edges, because the polystyrene cake dummy is really sharp at the edges and you can cut your fondant. Now to cover your cake in fondant, you grab the sides of the folds, you pull them outwards so they're nice and straight again, and then you press it up against the cake. You just keep making that motion. Every time you see a fold, you just sort of open it up and press down against the cake. And eventually, you should have the whole thing covered with no creases left. Then I'm using a fondant smoother just to kind of press it down at the edges. And I'm going around the cake, smoothing it all off, smoothing off the top. Then when you're satisfied, take a spatula and run it along the outside of your cake as close to the cake as you can. And then just remove the excess. My cake's been sitting in the freezer for about 15 minutes. Then I'm taking some buttercream, adding it generously on the top, pressing it out to the edges, and then adding a generous amount onto the sides of my cake. And once I got that nicely covered, I'll take a bench scraper and I'll slowly rotate my turntable, keeping my bench scraper steady and scraping off all the excess. You'll find that sometimes you get these spaces are a bit empty. Add in a little bit more buttercream and then just scrape it off. Then take your spatula and go in sideways, just kind of removing that lip of buttercream at the top. And then we'll put that back into the freezer to set. Taking my handheld steamer here, you can use like a regular steamer, and steaming the outside of my fondant cake, the faked here. That'll make the outside fondant nice and sticky so we can attach our gold powder really easily. I'm using a huge blush brush to do this, it's really easy to do. Takes a lot less time when you have a bigger brush. Once you've gone around the whole cake, start brushing off all the excess, and that'll kind of take away those circular marks as well. And I've been catching all that excess with some non-stick baking paper. That way when I fold it up, I can just tip the excess back into my pod. Now we're going to cover our 6-inch cake with some red fondant, rolling it out to about a 1/4 inch in thickness again, securing the sides and the top, but especially the edges, and following the exact same steps as our white cake. Just taking those folds, spreading them, and then pressing the fondant down onto the cake. Right, when that's done, go around with the bench smoother, with your cake smoother, making sure it's nice and stuck to the cake, and trim off the excess. Now making the lid. So I've added a little bit of that sugar syrup onto the top of my cake. I've tipped it upside down onto some green fondant, even though it's turquoise. I thought it was green, but that's okay, it still looked okay. Taking a ribbon cutter and cutting out the strip of ribbon. Then I'm gonna roll it up, stand it up so it's all nice and even. And then adding a little bit of glue around the whole of my cake, just at the bottom. And I'm gonna roll that on. This is really, really easy. And that ribbon cutter definitely comes in handy. making sure it's all attached with my bench scraper, just pushing it up against the cake evenly. I had a little spot here that I didn't quite catch, so I just cut some extra ribbon to the size of that gap. And to make the lid for a 6-inch cake, I've taken some fondant and I'm spreading some Crisco vegetable shortening over the top. That way I can attach my gold powder. Then I'll turn that upside down and add a little bit of sugar syrup so it sticks onto my cake. Add some sugar syrup on the edges of your cake as well. And I'm tipping the cake upside down. This has been in the freezer for 20 minutes, so when you tip it with your hands, it's not going to misshape your fondant cake at all. That's important. But because it was in the freezer, we do have to work pretty quickly with this now. I've done the same thing with some extra fondant for the ribbon because I want that to be gold as well. And the exact same way we did it with the green ribbon. Just roll it up and then unroll it onto your cake. Make sure it's all attached with your fondant smoother and turn it back upside right. And that's it. If you've removed any gold dust, just kind of tap some on there again. And I'm going to use some buttercream to attach my fake cake onto a board. And I'm centering my top tier. When I'm happy with it, the position, I'll just let it go. And then roll some berries and cut out some ribbons to decorate your cake with. Make sure it's nice and straight, and then just press it on. And cut off the excess. And for the top, I kind of left it nice and long so I could drape it over the lid, and then generously left enough so it kind of draped over the other side. Then you'll cut off the excess on those, and we'll start decorating with our holly pearls slash berries. So add a little bit of edible glue onto your cake, which is just the sugar syrup. Now I didn't have any holly leaves, so I just used regular leaves and kind of veined them with my cutter. And then stick those onto your cake. And if you like, you can add a couple more berries just to add some more of that sugar syrup to make sure they stick. And what I found looked really nice is when you kind of bent those leaves forward. I think it looked a lot nicer that way. A bit more interesting. Now to make the bow, cut a long ribbon, fold those into the middle, cut it in half, and then fold it in the center, and then fold both sides in as well. And that'll give you that sort of ribbon kind of texture. And cover the top with a little bit more of that ribbon, and meet it up at the back. Stand it up and you're sweet. Cut little handles for my ribbon as well, just in kind of inward triangles, and place it onto your cake. I'm going over the whole cake now with my steamer. One, to take off the excess buttercream. It also helps to make your colours more vibrant, and it also helps to set that gold dust onto your cake. And you're done. And that's how you make a 2-tier gift box cake themed for Christmas. I think this cake would look really nice even as a 1-tier. If you had maybe the holly plant still incorporated at the bottom on your cake board, I think that would look really cool too. I do have a couple more Christmas related videos coming out, but I know not everybody celebrates Christmas, so I'll still be doing some regular videos too. But yes, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will catch you next time. And if you like, you can subscribe to my channel. I upload a new video every Tuesday and Saturday.